everybody, welcome to a new video. I'm Esme Heming and today we are going to do some chalkboard lettering, which is actually the first time that I'm doing this. The only experience that I have with chalkboard lettering I'm going to show you is basically this, so that isn't a lot. But today I'm going to make a design on this chalkboard here that I need that chalkboard next week. I will have a little stand, and next to the stand I want this chalkboard art to explain everything that I do with my creative business. So I have made a design here on the iPad to transfer to this chalkboard. Like I said, I never done anything like this before, so big. I got a bunch of supplies here that I hope will be useful when doing this. So let me show you what I got. First, I have some different mediums that I'm going to use on the board and going to try out. Then firstly, I've got just normal white chalk that I put a little sharpener to it, so I have a little point that might make it easier to be a little bit more precise. I also got a normal white pencil. I found that this works pretty great to do your sketching phase because you can actually go over it with your hand without smudging it. If you want to erase it, you use a normal eraser to get it off. And I'm using the Faber Castell polychromos in, of course, white. It is the 101. So I hope you guys enjoy. I'm going to speed things up right now and let's get started. So before tackling this huge chalkboard, I first made a design, and of course you could do this on normal paper, but I like to work on the iPad, and I use the app Procreate for this. You can easily just give in the measurements of the board and go and draw with that. What is so easy about it, I think, is that you can still move around all the designs and find a layout that works best. First, I figured out which components I wanted on this layout, and then I just kept moving it around and kept changing it to make sure that the focus is on the pieces that I thought were important. So now, how did I transfer this to the chalkboard? That was easier than I thought. First, if you use the app Procreate, you can make a grid in the background. You can use it as a guideline, and if you press on it, you can actually choose how you want, how large you want this grid to be. And I knew the measurements of this chalkboard. I think it was like 140 meters, I think. So to keep it easy, I divided my the grid of my design in Procreate also in 14 squares. That way I could just easily see that one square was going to be 10 centimeters on my chalkboard. So that's what I did here, and I just used my little ruler here to find those measurements, and that way I just knew that I could just go up till down and still have enough space once I get to the bottom. Where I see a lot of people go wrong is that they go straight into the details. First, if you're just sketching everything out, keep everything to the shapes, just draw everything very lightly, sketch it very lightly, and just take a step back and look, how does the total design look on here? Is there something that feels a little bit cramped? Does something need a bit more space? Does something need to be moved? That's what I did first before I went in and drew all the details like the text and everything like that. So that's what I'm just doing here, just sketching everything out and then going over it, pressing a little bit harder so that the lines just come out a little bit better for me to see, and just working my way down into the design. The white pencil worked actually really great. It was a little bit more work erasing everything by the end, so the lines that I sketched out that didn't need to be there to erase that was a little bit more work, but it keeps the sketching phase so fast and so easy to do. But like I said, the one downside is that it won't go off just using a wet cloth. So now that I don't use this design anymore and I want to take it all off and use a wet cloth, the pencil marks that are under the chalk will still show up, and I still have to get in there with my eraser and get rid of those. So that's something to take into account. So now I'm almost done with the sketching phase, just taking a look at it and drawing some more details, some more sparkles around it, and yeah, keeping it with the illustration, just like I always do with bullet journaling. If you don't know what to do next, just end everything, add a bunch of sparkles, and it will look great. So I just finished sketching everything out. I'm quite happy with it. Let me show you guys where I am right now. I hope that you can see it because it's still very light. I'm gonna go over it, of course, with the chalk. I'm trying to make sure that you can see it. Okay, let's start here at the top. You have my logo, Esme Hebing, and above that you have design, letters, and illustration, which is what my business is about. So then under this I have all the things like that I do. Not very detailed, but just very simple. First, I do logo design. Huisstijl is Dutch for visual branding. Then you have this board here, which I'm not totally happy with. I feel like it is a bit cramped there, but it stands for wall, window, and board art. Then I've got my workshops and tutorials that I give. So of course this here on YouTube, my online tutorials, that is where the YouTube sign is for, and the normal workshop that I give with under there that I already have over 250,000 views. So I want just to show everybody there what I'm doing there. And then here at the bottom we have portraits and business illustrations. And in this little vase with like a paintbrush, because it's all about illustrations. And yeah, that is the full design. Quite happy with it. It looked a lot more cramped on the original my original design. I might make the 250,000 a little bit smaller, so I think I'm just gonna go in with the last changes, and then I'm going to just go over it, make everything a little bit thicker, I think. At first I thought about using chalkboard markers to do this, but I didn't have a lot of those. I only had one and I didn't know if I would have enough for the whole board, and I didn't really feel like if I was halfway through I had to go to the store to get some chalkboard markers. So I decided to try it with normal chalk. Like I said, I just used a pencil sharpener to get a little bit more of a point to it, and it was actually really easy to work with, and I also loved the way it looked. With chalkboard markers it looks really clean, but I didn't want it to look like that. I wanted it to look like it was handmade and showing the creativity that it just burst with. So that really worked here with this. Then what you see me doing now, I've got some washi tape, but it actually has measurements on it, which is super nice. Just to keep the spacing even, because when you're writing it just gets a little bit hard, and it makes it so clean if everything's even. So for that I used this piece of washi tape. You can use anything, to be honest, and I also used some white string that I just pasted on it as well if I had like very long pieces that needed to be straight, and with washi tape I can paste that straight. So I really learned that the parts that you want to stand out have to have the most of contrast. So now I'm working on a black background. The things that I want to stand out need to be the most white of all. So first, my logo is very important. So the Hebing was very white, and looking back at it, I could have made the Esme also big brighter, just so if you look at it, the first thing that your eyes will be drawn to is this part. And yeah, that was a good tip somebody recently gave me about the lettering. And I also really love the feel of working with chalk. I just feel like a kid again, just drawing on the pavement or on the school board, and it's just so much fun to do. This time it just went by so fast, and I just really hope that I can do this more. I've got an event coming up that I don't want to spoil about yet. There will be a video about it very soon. but I think I'm going to make a lot of chalkboard signs for that. I'm so excited, but I will tell you guys really soon what that is about, and if you see it you're like, oh, I know what she's making signs for. Maybe if you guess it, maybe just guess it down below in a comment. If I told you, don't don't let me know, but guess what the event is, and maybe you're right, and I will send you a message. So how did I get to all these type of lettering that I use here? I just looked up a bunch on Pinterest first off. That's even before I ever started lettering. I just look everything up. But now that I've done it a lot, I've got these designs that I love to use, that are easy and that I know. Most of the designs are pretty simple. Like here you see logo design and house style. They look different, but they are actually exactly the same type. I just played around with logo design with different. I just make it a bit more playful. So that's what I do, and I also use a lot of script. I don't think that I used it in here a lot, just in my Esme name. And then in the bottom I use the bouncy lettering as well, and you will see that in a bit. But that's just so cute. Here I do also use the script bouncy lettering. A lot of people ask me how you do bouncy lettering without making it look, like a mess, I think. But that's really hard. I asked the exact same questions when I started doing this, and sometimes it still looks like a mess. But the more I practice, the easier it gets. The tip that I get to give is that you play around with really small loops and really big loops. For example, if you look at the letter O, I use a really small loop at the bottom for actually the actual O, and give it a big swoop at the top just to make a lot of contrast. And also the letter A, I would make a very small A and give it a big swoop just to keep it bouncing like that. But yeah, I don't have a lot of tips for that. It's just something that you need to practice, I think. I'm keeping the doodles in this design very simple, and the doodles that I've got here, I just went to Pinterest and looked up some doodles. That's what I actually mostly do. And this is the letter type that I love the most. It's just using the spaces that the other letters create to create a new letter. For example, if I start with the P and then the O for portrait, the O, it has to be a lot smaller to fit underneath the P, and then the R can be big again, and the T will just be a little bit taller so it can go on top of it. I love that design of just, it is playful and it fits so well together. And here our last illustration, it is a vase with a brush in there. Yeah. So I also got a little stand to go with it, so let's build that now. Let's see how finished result looks. So this is a stand that me and my father-in-law made for this, and it looks really nice. I love the dark with light wood, and then I just put a bunch of lights there because lights make everything look better. And I really love the result. I got a lot of compliments about it, and yeah. So this is it, the full result with the total setup, and I really like it. I think this really shows what I do, and with the looks and everything in here, and I love it with the lights and the colors and the wood. It just is totally my style and what my business what I want to show with my business. So I'm very glad with the final result. So I hope that you also like to watch the process. In the end, it turned out to go a lot faster than I imagined it would take. I imagined me just working hours on this, but I think total it took me like an hour to transfer to this. First doing it with pencil and then going over going over it with the chalk, I think worked really great. This thing I just ended up doing it over like normal. I tried to do it with white and then erase some of the chromatic chalk, but that didn't work out. So this is also great in the end. Yeah, I hope that you liked this video. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe, and talk down below if you want to see more videos like this. So definitely comment, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.